And I was walking through and I saw this sign sitting there, and it said, "Grow old with me." We ended up selling $76 million in COVID tests. All throughout the world, because we had a diagnostics. Right after I moved down there, it was January of 2022, the régimen d'exception started. And that's when Bukele went and he threw all the gang members in jail.
You were living during this period?
Yeah.
The whole transition was... So you actually moved when it was dangerous.
Yes.
CEO InMotion. CEO InMotion. CEO InMotion. CEO InMotion.
5 employees.
As long as you're a business owner and,
Yes.
and you want to talk about what you do.
Yes. And I've expanded massively over the 3 years. So,
I was looking at your channel.
yeah.
You get a little jingle to get started.
Okay.
There you go, Jeni. All right. Welcome to one more episode of the CEO InMotion. This is going to be a different one. I'm super excited to have Jeni Ari from livinglikealocal.com. You know, El Salvador edition. So you live in El Salvador, right?
Yes, I do. Full
All right.
time.
So fun. So we're in Las Vegas right now. As you guys know, this is where we film this podcast. I'm picking Jeni up in her hotel room. So there's valet, there's cars, everything's going around. So we're just getting started.
I thought the Tesla was going to drive. Are you driving or is the Tesla driving?
Well, I can have the Tesla drive if you're comfortable with that.
I think I'd kind of feel better with the Tesla driving if you're asking
If
the
I'm asking questions?
Yeah.
Well, I still have to be holding my hand on the wheel. It's still called a supervised full self-driving. I can definitely do it. But Jeni, tell me what do you think about first the Bitcoin conference?
Oh, wow, it's intense. That's just, it's weird. Every time I come back to the States, it's like I have to reacclimatize myself to kind of gringo culture and gringo life. And it was really loud. It was really go, go, go. It was very gringo. And in El Salvador, we have Bitcoin conferences too, but they're very Latino. So they're really chill and relaxed, and it's really go with the flow. And so it's been amazing. I mean, the speakers are like, okay, even really big important speakers, you've got 10 minutes, and most people would like cross the country to hear these people speak for hours, and they only get like 10 minutes. And
you can watch them on YouTube, but people still do all the way across the country just to be in the very back. And then I noticed that some people start watching them on the screen. So I was like, if you're gonna watch them on the TV, like, you could have saved yourself $3,000, you know?
Yeah. It was intense. I guess that's the best way to say.
That's awesome.
I guess that's the best way to say the Bitcoin conference here was very fast-paced, very intense. Lots of connections, which is the main reason why I came. So definitely worth the money, for my business at least.
I'm very excited to hear about the business. I want to know like the story. So I mean, you sent me a DM, and you're like, would your audience be interested in, like, you know, I was 44, I started over, I moved to El Salvador, and I started, you know, basically getting business integrated in the country that started the original Bitcoin country.
Yep. So it's, I'm gonna do the Cliff Notes version.
Well, we have an hour.
Oh, okay. Well,
tell me where you're from.
So I grew up in Florida.
Okay.
And I got my degree from Florida State in chemical engineering, and kind of had my life kind of planned out, but right before I graduated, my boyfriend proposed, and so life took a massive detour, and instead I ended up becoming a trad wife, and we had our kids kind of boom, 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 because we were on the pop 'em out, kick 'em out plan.
Well, how many kids do you have?
I have a total of 7. And so we had 6 kids. We had 6 kids in 7.5 years, because it was kind of like,
really? You were on the plan.
Getting it done. It was kind of like getting it done. We'll pop him out, and then boom, we kick him out of the house, and then the plan was he and I go, and by then we'll have made our money and we can go live wherever we want.
That was the plan?
Yep. And plus, well, I grew up in a big family, and so I knew how awesome it was to not necessarily have a lot of stuff, but you had lots of friends and lots of really good social connections, and lots of people to rely on. And so I kind of wanted to create that, because when you're affluent, you can see a little bit of the signs of and the pitfalls that your kids may go through by never being in need. And so
that's interesting.
And so that's having a lot of kids is one way to kind of, I guess, counter that, you could say.
Balance that out.
Yeah, of like, the world really doesn't evolve around you. And we have means, and that means we get really cool vacations. And yes, you have the ability to start your own business, and, you can earn your own money. But, poor kids, they don't have that. So a lot of times they have a lot better work ethic than kids that are affluent. But so you have to do certain things to kind of mitigate that, but your family culture is what's most important. So anyway, so we did that. Well, now he's my husband. We were married for 18 years, and we went all the way.
Parted ways.
All the way. We started off with nothing, married in college, and right before the year that we divorced, our startup company had gone public, and we ended up selling $76 million in COVID tests all throughout the world, because we had a diagnostics company. And
that's incredible.
Yeah, it was an awesome, wild ride. And so anyway, but then 2020, just like the rest of the world, we all got our stuff kind of slammed in our face. The stuff that we were avoiding and hiding from. And so it became apparent that what my husband and I had created had kind of come to completion.
The chapter. Okay.
Yeah, and of course, no one has 7 kids thinking they're ever going to be alone. No, it was ride or die. We were ride or die through the thick of it. And so that truly came out of the blue. And so when the divorce was finalized, I was beyond devastated.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. I hadn't worked in over 20 years. Like, people were like, "Oh, go back into chemical engineering." I'm like, "Really?
20 years later?
Seriously?"
And none of your kids lived with you at this time? Or?
No, I had all of my kids. They were 18 to 4. And so...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you had them all.
Yes. And and in the divorce, it was kind of one of those things of, okay, I won't push your button, you don't push my button. So, he took the company and I took the kids. And so yeah, but then I've always been a fairly spiritual person. I wouldn't necessarily say religious, but spiritual person.
Yeah.
Hello, you can't have that many kids without having a really good connection with God. As far as like getting direction like minutely, it's like, okay, go change that diaper, go stop that person from killing that person.
That one's falling, let me grab him before that one.
Yeah, catch that kid before he jumps off the stairs.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's kind of, people think you have kids because you're religious. It's like, no. You have kids and then you become...
You have to.
You have to, just in order to survive. And so anyway, but at that point, I was just like, I mean, what do? I did everything.
It was your pivot moment.
Yeah, it was my dark day for sure, because I was just like, this was not supposed to happen. This was not supposed to happen. I like checked all the boxes. I did everything. I freaking homeschooled, for crying out loud. Okay.
You married your college sweetheart.
And so it was just, I had no clue what in the world to do. And it was pandemic time. So everybody was all closed in, having to face their issues with no help. It was all kind of symbolic of everything that was going on with my family. And it just, we had to do something different. The kids were feeling it. I couldn't even help them because I was so just desperate at the time, and I was just questioning life, what I was going to do. I was 44, starting from zero, And I mean, and granted, we had to sell everything and, you know, split it because that's
Of
how
the
they,
companies, is that what you're saying?
well, we didn't split the company, but like we sold the house and, you know, we sold the cars and sold everything in the house and things like that. And then split that. And
But that also is like emotional. Like I just
Oh.
bought this car 3 days ago, and I had to part with my old one, which is where I did the podcast for 2 years, and my other one is wrapped with the company colors. It's got screens, everything, and I feel like this is like, I mean, it's nicer. It's nice, but that was just like one little thing. I can't imagine
It's
building
like
an entire life.
Yeah.
And then having to part with the home where your kids were born, you played, so many memories.
yeah. Well, we had actually traveled a lot because he was an inventor, and so we had to a biotech inventor. So we had gone through lots of startups, and we had moved 18 times in the 18 years we were married.
So maybe not.
And
Maybe you were used to.
So like the house was just like, yeah, okay. So we lived there like 2 years, and there wasn't that much of a tie to it. It was more of the culture and just the culture and just all of the hard work of the family that we had created together.
And for the
so-
kids, I mean, they're
Yeah.
all in different ages, so they all understand things differently. My mom divorced twice, and I went through 2 different like divorces when I was little, and then later when I was like in college, and you just those are the ages, you know, 6 or 18, like you process things so differently.
Yes.
And each of your
exactly.
kids was going through a different thing.
And we didn't have the context because it was the pandemic. You know, we didn't have the context of, okay, let's go, you know, the social, because in a big, massive life change, you really need the trusted social connection. You need something that is familiar, some kind of normality that you can rely on.
That grounds
And-
you too, connection.
Yeah, and like we couldn't see grandpas and grandmas because, you know, the COVID scare and so it was just there were some very, very dark days during that time. But, you know, it was interesting. I went jogging one morning because, hello, there's nobody on the streets anyway. So I went jogging one morning, like, I guess two doors down or something. A little old lady was having this garage sale, and I was like, well, what the heck? And I walked up to the garage sale, and I was walking through, and I saw this sign sitting there, and it said, "Grow old with me, for the best is yet to be." And at that moment, it triggered the heck out of me, and I just burst out bawling. Of course, I'm just like, "Grow old with me! Oh yeah!" And
Oh my
I
God,
was
everything that was
so
inside.
mad, but at the same time, like I knew kind of God had kind of, you know, like driven me towards that, and so I bought the thing for $1, and I took it home, and I was just looking at it and bawling, and I just had this moment where kind of peace came over me, and it's almost like you could say, kind of felt God's voice, you could say, saying that to me. It wasn't about, you know, most people, it's like, it was meant for like a grow old with your husband kind of a thing. But I felt like God was personally saying, grow old with me, because your best is actually in the future. And that was just so hard for me to believe, because I'm like, but I had the white picket fence, you know, I had this awesome family, you know, I had it all. We went from, you know, bankrupt and nothing to millionaires, and then bankrupt again, and then back up again. I'm like, I've had the cookie cutter life of what everyone dreams about. I'm like, how can my best be yet to be? And but it's like one of those things, like, even though logically it doesn't make any sense, like my heart just like was just like,
I
yep.
think God was whispering to you.
Yeah,
grow
totally.
old with me, like, and then you get closer to Him because
Yeah.
you feel it, and to me, that is the right message. Like, it was
Yeah.
perfect for you. I mean, for Christ's sake, you were running for no reason on one
Yeah.
random day, and that happens to be, you know.
This little old lady that was like, I don't care, nobody's gonna keep me inside. She puts all of her stuff out in the front.
I mean, you have to think back, like, she bought that thing at some time ago,
Yeah.
someplace, somewhere, maybe someone gave it to her and she decided to take it out that moment because you were coming in. That's where I
Yeah.
mentioned like the architect of creation. Some people have the thing with the word God, but
Yeah.
when you have an architect, you know, he sees the blueprint before the thing gets, you know, erected and put up. And so he planned, this person's going to have this sign, they're going to take it out on this day, and you are going to be running that day for that reason.
Yeah.
But you didn't see it. This is
No,
years in the
not at all.
making,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then boom.
Yeah, it was totally, and that kind of, I guess that was the first time after the divorce that kind of a little spark of hope started in me. And I was just like, wow, what? Because that little spark was just like, wait a minute.
What could it be?
Like, what could it be? Because, you know, as a mom, like, your whole focus is on, you put your kids, you put your husband first, you put everybody else first before you, because you are the glue that holds it all together. And so I never had fathomed, like, well, what could I personally do to impact? I mean, I was totally happy with the impact that I had. I loved being a mom. I loved being a trad mom, and I loved what we created with the businesses that we made. But my service was kind of never about me. And so that got me kind of curious, that spark of like, wait, I have my best in front of me? How can that be? Like, what can I give? And I've kind of been out of the loop for so long.
You put pause on your life, essentially, for what you wanted to, for
Yeah.
work.
Well, I mean, I could say like, yeah, I kind of like put pause on, but I mean, chemical engineering, I liked it, you know, but I could do it, but I mean, it wasn't like, man, this is so cool. No, it was just like, dude, yeah, I'll get paid a whole lot for, honestly, okay, being a little honest here, it was the highest paid job I could get with just a bachelor's. So that's kind of why I went into
You went
chemical
that route.
engineering, and it required the least number of papers. So
There you go.
that's why I went in there. So like my heart wasn't really in that, but I was truly, I was curious and I was intrigued, and I had this little spark of, wait a minute, I have more to do. and so anyway, and so after that spark, we had traveled. I traveled around the world before I was married, and then even with my kids, since we moved 18 times, we had done. I was kind of forced into homeschooling. When you move that often, changing schools every year, it does not work. So
Yeah.
so we ended up kind of world schooling by moving so much.
You
And
moved to different countries too, or just different cities?
No, it's primarily, we stayed in the U.S. for most of that, but we had done Europe. We
Okay.
had driven around Europe and stuff, and I was fluent in Spanish, and so we needed a reset. We, like, what the kids were going through and what I was going through, and everything being all closed up, we needed a reset. And so I said, you know what, guys, we're gonna kill each other if we stay in this tiny little house. And so we just need to go. And so I had a really beautiful Blanquita. She was a white, pimped out camper van with a Sportsmobile pot top, off-road tires, 6-inch lift. So we had Blanquita. And that was kind of pretty much all I really had left asset-wise. And so I'm like, you know what? We'll put what's important in Blanquita and let's drive. We can't fly anywhere because of the pandemic, so we drove. And so we drove down, we started driving and world schooling, though, down through Central America. And
Wow.
we just kind of, to have a reset, to kind of start to love life again, just start participating in life and start create some new normals. And so yeah, so we spent about a month in every country and just exploring. And
You and all your kids?
no, it was just my 5 girls and me, because my boys were 17 and 15. They were teenage boys. The last
So the
thing
two first ones are boys, and then everybody else is
no,
girls?
my oldest was 18. So,
I
and
see.
she had pretty good Spanish too, and she could drive too. And so, but my 17 and my 15-year-old boys, of course, hello, what teenage boys wants to, let's go hang out with mom? No.
And my 5 sisters.
Yeah, my 5 sisters.
So you and your 5 daughters.
So me and my 5 girls,
yeah.
we started, we drove down, and we kind of, I had taken some life coaching and done some life coaching beforehand, and in the States I worked primarily with abuse victims, and so I was teaching classes about manifestation and things like that. And so we kind of just drove down without a plan and just kind of manifested every day. I was just like, hey, what are we going to create today? And just kind of followed spirit and followed where God led us. And especially because, sometimes he warned us of like, hey, don't go over there.
Stay away.
And so,
and you listened.
Yes, we listened. And so it was amazing. It was an amazing adventure. And
Wow.
and we were gonna skip El Salvador, but just because of circumstances the way they were, we actually had to go into El Salvador. But it was beautiful. It was an amazing trip, and we got all the way down to Costa Rica, and but then we found out it was Costa Rica.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of call it the California of Central America because you can.
It's not good.
You cannot. Well, you can't beat the naturaleza. You can't beat nature. I mean, the sequoias, Monterey Bay. I mean, the Sierra Nevadas. I mean, California is gorgeous when it comes to the nature. But then, hello, why don't you live there?
For a reason. I left.
For reasons. Okay. And similarly, that's kind of like Costa. It was crazy expensive. It was very corrupt. The government robbed me. My van got broken into.
Oh, Blanquita.
And it was just drama on every turn. And it was not what I thought it was going to be. So either way, at that time, and God was kind of like telling me over and over again, El Salvador, El Salvador, El Salvador. But
was there a reason that you didn't want to go to El Salvador, other than the fact that it was like crime, of the world, and
Well, I had no clue what was in my future. I really didn't, and I was trying to take this time to kind of regroup and kind of figure out who I was, because you identify so much with your role, and that identity, that kind of loss of identity of being a wife, and especially being a trad wife, and now having
What is that?
A trad wife?
Yeah.
It's a traditional wife, or an at-home, stay-at-home.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Stay-at-home. Because it'd be one thing if I was like a working wife and I had a job to go to and a
Traditional
career.
wife.
Yeah, it stands for traditional wife. But if I had like a career that was already in the works, I mean, I'd only done volunteer stuff when it came to working with the abuse victims and the life coaching. And so it was a major reassessment of like even my own identity. And
a shake up
to
the core of your identity.
Massive. And so anyway, but no, it was blaring signs that El Salvador was the place for me. And so my kids went back to visit, spend some time with their dad, and so I went back to El Salvador, and just everything fell into place. It just doors opened that I never could have fathomed would have opened, and just all the signs were there. It was just like, nope, this is where your future is, because that was like my daily prayer. Is just like, okay, my best is yet to be, but what is that best? Where is that best? How
does it look like?
How is that best?
Yeah.
And just step by step, it was like, okay, where? Here. And it's like, what? What about this? And how? You tell me how. And so I flew back to the States because I was like, no, that's crazy. And but when I got back to the States, it was like
Doors were closing?
Oh, every door is closed. It's like, can I stay with my parents? No. And could I stay, at this place? Well, only if you want to live 2 hours out from the city, What if I live next to, my husband and where he was at? Oh, well, life there is looking really, really bad if I tried to live where he lived. And it was just, doors were just closing everywhere, and everything for El Salvador was wide open. And so, yeah, and I had no money.
And your family, they
And
were
I
like,
had no money.
are you?
Yeah,
Like, are you
my
out of your
family was-
mind going to El
Yes,
Salvador? Like your
yes.
friends, like your, you know,
Yes, my family's like, you
people
are
around
crazy.
you. You're
Yes.
like, what are you doing in El Salvador?
They're like, what
Watch
are
the
you
news.
doing? How can you leave your kids in the States? I'm like, I did not leave my kids in the States. They can come with me if they choose to, but it's a whole different world with divorced kids. Divorced kids are adults because the judge pretty much treats them like adults. If they're, and my kids were teenagers, pretty
Then,
much.
yeah.
And pretty much after they're 12, the judge lets them pretty much choose what they want to do. And so divorced kids, unfortunately, they don't really have a home. They have mom and dads, and they have to grow up fast.
And they have to choose where they go. Is that what
And
it
they
is?
have to choose, and they get the consequences of their choices much quicker than kids where the parents stay together. And I don't wish it on anybody. I do not recommend it. If you're looking at divorce, don't just get a counselor, because a lot of counselors are just like, yeah, now it sucks. Yeah, just go. No, like go to some retreats together. Find ways, find creations things that you love together. Find ways to bond, to put each other first. I do not recommend it in any way, shape, or form, because your kids will suffer way more than you and your ex will.
The decisions that they make completely change their life. So when my parents divorced the first time, my mom, you know, my stepdad, he's American, and so we had the choice to all move to the US. But my brother and my sister were already over 18, so they stayed in Mexico, and I was 16, so I was the only one that was kind of forced to be with my mom. And I resented that. I was like, I'm not gonna be with my brother. I'm not gonna be with my sister.
Yep.
And now, I mean, I'm doing a freaking podcast in Las Vegas in my brand new Tesla, and you know, my family in Mexico is not, you know, they're very, very different. The choices that were made led to a completely different life.
Yep.
And I'm sure for you that must have been
Yep.
super difficult to
It was
to take that
extreme.
step. You really had to believe in yourself and
Well,
this message.
Yeah,
that you were
well, I had that years of kind of developing that spiritual connection that it was unmistakable. I knew when it was me and just my crazy voices in my head and my crazy weird thoughts, and I knew when it was like divine intervention.
Guidance.
You could say divine guidance of that I knew I could trust, because time and time again I had trusted it and it had turned out right. And so
Can't go wrong with God.
Yeah. So I went down to El Salvador, and then right after I moved down there, it was January of 2022, the Régimen d'Exception started. And that's when Bukele went and he threw all the gang members in jail.
You were living during this period?
Yeah.
The whole transition was... So you actually moved when it was dangerous.
Yes, I actually moved when it was dangerous. And so...
Wasn't it like
of
the
course-
most dangerous place on earth? Like
Yeah,
per
and so-
murder capita?
Yeah, and so and that's even more reason why my family was just like, you're crazy. And I tried to start a little bit of like a travel vlog, thinking, well, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do when we were driving down. But I could not be consistent enough, and all the editing and learning all that technology at 44.
You were the one doing it?
And so, yeah. And so, so that just didn't really work. But then when I was there and just all these doors opened up, I just started recording. I'm like, look, just for my family. They're the only people that subscribe to my channel. And so I was just sitting there showing my family, I'm like, look, this is what the mercado is like. You know, it's not that bad. You know, because honestly, gringos have always been safe in El Salvador, because the gangs never mess with the gringos. Look, they rule by fear and intimidation of their fellow countrymen. They don't want to get into international mess.
They don't want to mess around. Okay.
With messing around with foreigners. And so I went around just kind of showing, look, this is what shopping is like. You know, this is what the traffic is like. Just showing that. And then when the Régimen d'Exception started, my channel just blew up.
Because everybody's eyes on the world is on El Salvador.
Exactly. Everybody was Googling El Salvador, and
Ukulele, like he's just an amazing...
Exactly. And so my channel my channel went through the roof, and then people started contacting me and saying, hey, especially Bitcoiners, because Bitcoin, Bukele had passed the Bitcoin law, you know, just, I think it was like September of 21.
As a Federal Reserve.
Yeah, and so, making
Salvador,
Bitcoin
right?
legal tender.
Correct.
And making it, you know, and being the new Bitcoin country. So in 2022, a lot of the people that contacted me through my channel were contacting me, were Bitcoiners saying, hey, I want to be part of Bitcoin country, and, you know, this is my country, and things like that. And so, hello, it was like, okay, well, I'll help you with that process. And
Oh my God! So they were basically reaching out to you, kind of guiding you.
The business kind of like came to me more so than, you know, I went out and planned and, you know, did it.
So you didn't move to El Salvador saying, like, I'm going to become a host and bring people here, businesses. Is the fact that you were there and like, okay, what's the next step?
No one wanted to move to El Salvador. All of the companies were, here's how you can get out. All of them they're called Asesoría Migratorios.
Okay.
And so they were all about getting out of El Salvador. So there was no business saying, hey, yeah, come on down. No. And so anyway, so the Bitcoiners were the main, they wanted to come down, and so it was helping them with the immigration process. And at that time, I met and married my husband, who was a lawyer. And if you know anything about Salvadoran salaries, they are pathetic. They are really bad. Like, even a lawyer can get some, like, maybe $1,000 to $1,500 a month.
Oh wow!
And,
yeah, that's not even minimum wage here.
So I met and I married my husband, and I'm just like, okay, but I'm a gringa, and we're not gonna be poor. I hate to tell you this. I have a lot of kids that I need to pay for, and at that time I was now paying child support. Because I didn't have custody anymore. And so I'm like, I have things to pay, and plus my kids were teenagers, so I'm like, they're gonna have to go to college, and I want to help them, you know, when they start their businesses, just like, you know, our parents had originally helped me and my husband when we first started out with our first startups, and I'm like, okay, we need to make some money. So
what's your husband's name?
So he, you know, so he was, you know, all involved in, and it's so him having a law background and stuff. I'm like, okay, here we go. So I morphed the channel into a funnel to send him clients, and for immigration. So it started off with immigration with the Bitcoiners, and then the next year in 2023, and of course all of my vacation time, every vacation break I was flying back and visiting my kids and stuff. And in 2023, it was a lot of Canadians. We have a lot of Canadians come down, and that kind of product with the Canadians, and what I learned from the Bitcoiners was a lot of those Bitcoiners, they were sold on the hype of El Salvador, because, I mean, Bukele is a great marketer.
Amazing what he's done with the country.
Yeah, and Max and Stacy are very big on hype when it comes to El Salvador. And so there was a lot of people that came, but they didn't do their due diligence. And so, for example, I always use the example of one of them. He came and we had to get him out of legal trouble, because he had gotten in legal trouble because he didn't know what he was doing, and because he didn't understand the laws, and so now he was like, yeah, I'm done with this country. and how's he said it? He's like, you know, there's just not enough strip clubs in El Salvador. And I'm like, okay, you did not do your homework. Let me show you. You need to go to Dubai. Maybe you need. And he ended up going back to Europe. And I'm like, yeah, you'll be a lot happier there. And so that year, 2023, when the Canadians were running from Trudeau, that's when I started relocation tours.
The Canadians were running from Trudeau.
And so like, that's when I started the relocation tours to kind of hit everybody with the cultural shocks that you're going to go through coming from a first world country to El Salvador. So I started those relocation tours that kind of So by the end of the relocation tour, it's like you're gonna know with 90% certainty, yes or no to El Salvador.
Walk me through what that relocation
like,
tour is like.
Because if you last the week, then you're good. And if something really, takes you down during the week, then you really need to reassess if this is the right thing for you. And so,
So the tours are a week long. Like, walk me through what the tour is like.
It's a week long tour, and just every night we we have an expert and our trusted partner in each of the different aspects of when you're moving to a new country. Like, I have a medical expert that comes in one night that tells them all about what they can expect health-wise in El Salvador when it comes to healthcare. And then, like, another night we have our construction guy builder comes in and says, okay, this is what you can expect if you're going to build in here and build your own place. Because things are very different. Even Latinos. I mean, Latinos think, oh, well, I can speak Spanish, so I'll be fine. And
it's different.
Don't understand the culture, and they get scammed, and they get really kind of mad.
Do you get people that are like from Mexico, or do you get most people that are Canadians, U.S.?
Yeah, no, it's been interesting. It's been well, as I said, in 2023 it's Canadians, but in 2024 it was actually deportees. So it was a lot more Salvadorans that were coming back. They call them diaspora, that were coming back to El Salvador, and people that were choosing to self-deport because they were like, hello, I know what Chihuahua's like, and I ain't going back there. I know what's waiting for me there. And they have, and these good, hardworking people that have a nice big nest egg from 20 years of working in the States. And
that money goes super far.
And so their money goes a lot farther. So they're calling me up and like, okay, I'm not going back to Mexico. I'm not going back to Venezuela. I'm going to go to, Papa Naib, and I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a business in El Salvador.
So walk me through that. What's the process of someone wanting to do that?
Well, of course, then that's 2024. So the service that kind of was birthed from that was our concierge service, where we help them find a house, help them get a car, help them. I created an algorithm just for them to figure out what schools, because education is a wild west down in El Salvador. You've got everything from super strict Catholic, like all girls, all boys, school, to like forest school, like that has like no structure whatsoever. It's a wild gamut. And so I started this concierge service to help families that were kind of newbies coming for the first time, help them kind of transition and get kind of to the new normal as fast as possible. And that was kind of the new service that came from 2024. And then this year it's been business. And so the businesses have been calling me up and been saying like, hey, I'm looking at El Salvador, I want to move down there. A lot of Canadian businesses and so now my services are expanding as I get into helping them. Okay, well, what government regulations apply to your business? What are the laws that apply to your business? Again, getting them hooked up with, because context, everything in El Salvador, it's about who you know.
You keep reinventing yourself.
Oh, but that's
The
CEO. That's
product.
You talk about
CEO.
CEO.
That's the mentality.
That is what you have to do, and it's funny because, I mean, I never. My husband was a CEO of our startups and stuff, and he always hated having to be in charge of everything, because he was always happiest in a lab and inventing, and it's ironic because I see how being a mom, especially being a mom of a bunch of kids, you are primed for being a CEO, because. And it's kind of weird because in the world they say, ooh, CEO, and they kind of put it up on a pedestal and things like that. But you really need to be happy and be in that position, you need to have the skills and the gifts and the talent to not only be good at it, but actually find joy in it, because if not, it's incredibly stressful.
Extremely.
You have to be very flexible.
Putting out fires while
Yeah.
still smiling.
Yeah, you've got to be very flexible. You have to be very positive. You have to be very hopeful. You kind of have to be like a natural manifester to really be a good CEO. And actually, because there's some people that are really good CEOs, but dude, they hate their lives.
They're miserable. Is there a CEO that you look up to?
Hate their lives. I think being ADD, having ADD can actually help you be a CEO, because I'm pretty ADD. I'm trying to think a CEO that I look up to.
Or that you like the work, you like the...
Honestly, I like Grant Cardone's wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you see Grant Cardone today?
Yeah, I did. I totally went in there. I was just like, dude, where's your woman? But because I mean, her and like Sage Robbins, Tony Robbins' wife.
Amazing.
I mean, because the thing is, a lot of, I think it can be kind of sad when sometimes they think feminism, like you have to act like a man. It's like feminism, in some ways, people can move into, I am a feminist. It's like you've never seen such a masculine feminist, you know, because it's like it's like taking that masculinity and like supercharging and making your statement, and it's like, wait a minute, honey, so wait, what is masculinity? What's your definition of masculinity? Because you're the most masculine feminist
you're a very masculine feminist
I've ever seen. And it's sad because sometimes I think girls can get confused, and that's why I guess I like those two CEOs you can consider, because I mean, being a mom is amazing. It is so fulfilling. I love being a mom. I will always love my husband just because he loved me enough to give me my children. And
amazing.
And I wish him the best, and he is creating a new life for himself, and I'm, you know, and there's no more ties, no more really communication whatsoever with him, but just because he made me a mother, and multiple times over, and gave me that experience and opportunity in life, it's truly created the woman that I am. And I could not be a CEO, I could not be a leader in any way, shape, or form if I had not had that massive preparation time of being a mom, and learning how to truly be compassionate and truly understand, like walk in others' shoes and understand people that think so differently from you, because your kids, you're like,
they're all different.
Like, where the heck did you come from? You know, but you love them so much, and sometimes you want to just scream and pull your hair out at them, but you love them so much, and they're all so different, and yet you have to do what's best for everybody.
With love, with compassion, with guidance.
It's like you have to validate them personally, but at the same time, it's like, I love you, I hear you, but I have to do what's best for everybody, because everybody is my priority. And that's like being a CEO. It's like every employee needs to feel valued. They need to feel like they're part of that, they're an important part of the team, and that the team wouldn't be the same without them. But at the same time, they've got to be all in for the team,
for the vision. That's so great.
They can't be, it's like, no, this is all about me, and you know, and I'm the scientist, and you know, my inventions are just amazing, and it's like, okay, but without marketing, nobody knows you did anything.
You can't sell if people don't know you have the best product.
And so that kind of balance is just, it's natural for a mom. It's natural for a mom.
Well, you had to practice, you know, with 7 of them. What was it like when you first got to El Salvador, like for you? And you said, like, all right, the first night you're sleeping there, you're like, I did it. I don't know what's coming, but what was that like?
Oh, I cried. I bawled and bawled and bawled the first night because I didn't have my kids with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, my family had been my life, you know, for so long. So
That shows so much courage.
it was,
Jeni, that's awesome.
I bawled my eyes out.
You should.
But anyway, but El Salvador, but it's been really cool to see, you know what, God knew where El Salvador was going. And really quick, right after I made that kind of leap of faith, you could call it, boom, the Régimen d'Exception started, and then President Bukele, he's a genius.
He
is a genius, and he's a God-fearing man too. And that's the other thing. He really vibes with me because he is humble enough to say, like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing, but dang it, I pray every day and I go with what I get.
Did you see the interview with Tucker Carlson?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that was, to me, I was like, this man is gonna do it.
When I first moved down to El Salvador, like, probably, okay, that night I bawled, but then the next day I went and I binged. I'm a big person on go to source. Don't get your information from anybody else. Go to source. So I binged Bukele's speeches. I watched all of Bukele's speeches that he had done up to that time, up to January 2022. And just everything he was saying was just resonating with me. And I was just like, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I want to be here. If this is where the country is going, dude, this is mi gente, man.
So you speak Spanish because you were listening to everything.
Yeah. And so.
You can do this in Spanish si quieres.
Oh, está bien, no sé, pero sus suscriptores.
No, los suscriptores, nada más mi
hablan
familia.
español, quieren que hablamos español. But yeah, so I mean, it was just everything was unfolding, and I could kind of see the wave. And I'm like, look, if a country has safety, if it's living by true principles, it's just like a family. A country is just a big family. And if you're living true principles in your country, just like if you're installing true principles in your family and your children, I mean, it's going to be successful. It's going to be successful. They're going to be happy. I mean, barring the, eccentricities here and there, and like the sibling quarrels and things like that. Because true principles are true principles. I don't care if you're Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, whatever. There's universal truth principles that apply everywhere. That if you want a civil society or a civil family, you have to implement them. And Bukele was instilling all of those. And I'm like, I know. I'm like,
it was coming from the top.
Yeah. And I'm like, just like, no, this country. I'm like, position doesn't matter. Direction does. And I'm like, the first world countries, their direction was straight to the gutter. And this little third world country, its direction was straight up.
It was pointing in the right direction.
And direction matters more than location. And so, and it's been awesome. It's been so awesome to see. I mean, every year it's like a 180. If you go back to the very beginnings of my YouTube channel, I walk down the street mercado, and it's crazy Latino mercado chaos, of all these little, tents and stuff out there, teeming with all these products, and you can barely squeeze through, and then
it's so different. Is there anything that compares to here or no?
Like, I sit there and no, there's nothing here in the U.S. that compares to it. It's kind of like a flea market, but just think of like a flea market that's massively crammed together. But now you can put the video that I make now, like walking side by side, whole different world. It's a whole different world. And all the things that even Gabriela Bukele has implemented. And so I started a TikTok. Well, one day I was kind of doing my meditation devotional time, and I kind of got direction, open your mouth. Because I was kind of like, okay, well, I'm here and I got my bills paid. And I'm like, but why am I here in El Salvador? I'm like, I'm the guest.
What's my greater purpose?
Yeah. Like, why did you really put me here? And that's when I really looking around and being married to a Salvadoran, I'm like, wow, this is a whole country of abuse victims. I'm like, they have been literally living in an abusive situation for 40 years. 20 years in a civil war, and then 20 years of the gangsters like killing, their neighbors killing each other.
Mm.
And I'm like, wow. And so then I started, I was really like, wait, I'm gonna start a TikTok, I'm gonna start a social media account in Spanish. I'm like, okay, I got good Spanish, but it ain't that good.
La gringa salvadoreña.
And that's how Jeni Ari, La Gringa Salvadoreña was born. And and so I just started with little clips of filming of like walking around exploring El Salvador and just saying, I started this little series called Salvadoreños, explícame eso, which means like, Salvadorans, can you explain this to me? Like, what is up with this? Why do you do this like this? I don't get it. and so from that, just kind of asking questions and just focusing, just being me and just showing like, wow, this is so cool. I love this about El Salvador. And just kind of, as God says, open your mouth and shine your light, and just kind of shining my light and showing my own observations of the country. Then, wow, the TikTok went up, and then all of a sudden you're an influencer at 48, and
a TikTok influencer living in El Salvador.
Yep, and a YouTuber, and that was never ever. I mean, way back with my best was yet to be. I never in my wildest imagination would have fathomed that.
That was not in the realm of possibilities.
Not nowhere in the realm. It had nothing to do with math. It had nothing to do with science. It had nothing to do with kids.
It's not even in the country.
All the things that I'm like good at, and I'm like, yeah, I never fathomed. But I mean, and influencers, they get a bad rep. But, and I feel really bad for anybody that does this under 40. Dude, do not try and be because
made it. I'm 41.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. It's like you don't know who you are until you're really truly trying to figure out who you are, who you're not, what things that you just need to get better at, and some things you're like, that is never gonna be my thing, and I'm gonna have to outsource that for the rest of my life. But after 40, you don't give a crap what anybody else thinks.
I'm gonna go for it.
You're just like, what do I care what you say? Comment? I don't even read the comments, and so, but at the same time, it's like everyone has influence. You always have influence within your circle of influence of the people around you, and an influencer is, nowadays, it's kind of seen as somebody that's more influenced by other people's perception of them than someone who's actually trying to influence others to do good things. And
in your case, you're an original influencer, because you're trying to influence people by talking about this country, the benefits, moving.
And so in that aspect, I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, I'm an influencer. And I'm like, I want to influence Salvadoreños to like take risks and to like level up and to live their dreams. And it's like, and I want to influence my clients to come in and not be colonizers. That's a big thing about living like a local. That's why it's called living like a local. Is look, those colonization days are over. If you're coming, you're the guest. Why does El Salvador want you?
Treat them with respect.
What are you here to give?
Yeah.
Because if you're just here to like take, I just want the cheap labor. I just want the cheap whatever. Yeah, those colonization days they're over. Like, you might want to try somewhere else, because Salvadorans, they just they ain't having it. They ain't having it. They're not gonna put up with it. No.
Do people stop you in El Salvador? Do they recognize you?
Yeah, they do, and that's fine because well, I'm a terrible actress. I suck at being anybody else but me.
You're great on camera.
And so
yeah, you have a great personality.
So it's like, so if they see me in normal life or they see me on camera, it's the same me. So I don't really care. But, and since I don't have I have my youngest. My littlest is 8, and she's down there living with me now. I finally got custody back.
So you
hello.
have custody of one.
So yeah,
girl?
I had to build the business and build things up so I could get custody back of my little one, and so she's with me. But the biggies they're all in college. They've got full rides. They're like my 16-year-old's in a special IB school in the U.S. and my son is stationed in Oahu. You know, my other daughter's in college, so I mean
they've grown up.
Yeah, they've grown up, and so it's interesting because they look at me a lot differently because hello, mom's an influencer. What the heck? It's like. You know, because
do they comment on your videos?
No. They do not follow me. Are you kidding me?
What?
No.
Why wouldn't
no.
I'd be so pumped up if my mom was doing TikTok
no.
videos. I would be sending it to my friends. I'd be sharing.
No one is a prophet in their own house. No. Or in their own town, however that scripture goes. No one is a prophet in their own home.
Are there any things that you miss from living in the U.S.?
That's going to take a while.
That many things?
That's going to take a while. Hold on. Sometimes I do miss Amazon.
Oh my god, the things that I can't even think of. Amazon Prime.
Sometimes because I'm pretty busy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not typical. El Salvador is really chill, really laid back, and and so sometimes when I need something and I need something now, that's not a Salvadoran thing, but
the comfort of speed.
Yeah, I guess that there is a possibility of getting things fast, but the problem is like you guys, everything is fast here, and you're so flippin' stressed because everything is fast, and so it's kind of not worth it. But you asked if I missed anything, so
yeah. I wouldn't even think about that. I was thinking like, is it a type of food, restaurant, everything?
The only thing I miss
the little things, the comfort of.
The only thing I miss is my kids, hands down. The only thing I miss is my kids, but hello, they're of the age that even if I did live in the U.S., they wouldn't necessarily be visiting me anyway.
They're in all different places.
Because they're fully into college. You know, they'd only come home to like eat and wash and stuff like that, and then they'd be out again. so yeah, no, and that's just it. I mean, we talk every single week, and of course we text. And nowadays you just have to text your kids. You can't call your kids. What?
They won't answer.
No, they won't answer.
What are some of the difficulties of starting a business in El Salvador for you growing up your business?
Actually, it's a lot easier than people think.
Okay.
Because kind of in El Salvador, and that's what people don't understand. When you come from Gringolandia,
from Las Vegas,
where you have to do everything right? You have to have everything set up first. You have to register your LLC. You know, you have to have the business plan. Blah blah blah, and because everything is based off of common law, but down there it's based off of Spanish law, because they were Spanish colonies, so it's based off of that Spanish law, and so it's very different business wise. There, they want you to try it out. It's like you don't register your business. You have to do like a proof of concept first, a proof of work, you could say. So
you start the business.
Start the business.
It works, and then
you start going, and when you're generating enough money to oh no, this business is gonna work, and you're actually making enough money that okay, well, you need to pay taxes now.
But that makes more sense to me. Like, just get it going, get it moving. A lot of people like spend all this time in the paperwork. They're doing this, and they don't know if their business is gonna fail or not, or make
all
money.
that capital, all that debt,
time, and everything. Let me get that right name, the right LLC. Let me.
Yeah, and then
they don't do it.
Yeah, and so that's one of the biggest things is that down there it's more about you try the business. When the business is successful, and you've hit a certain level of income, then then you register your business, and it's just like, it's everything. El Salvador has very much an attitude of, hey, try it, why not, see what happens. And then, because the thing is, once you register, shutting down a business is a pain in the derriere. It is, because Spanish law is kind of opposite from the common law that we use, and so it's a real pain to shut down a business. So that's another reason why you want to make sure that the business is viable and works well before you start it, because if not, it'll just crash you in so many ways. And your debt,
to get out,
yeah, like your quote unquote credit score down there, which is a Salvadoran credit
they do
score.
have a credit score.
Well, they don't really
system?
have a credit score. They have kind of like your credit history kind of a thing. And so like, if you get in debt to start a business, then that debt's gonna kind of hang over you. But entrepreneurship can kind of be tough down there, because you can't loan money like you do up here.
Do people transact in Bitcoin there? Like,
Oh yeah. Like,
so people actually buy stuff.
everything,
Do
everything.
you?
And
Really?
so the thing is, okay. Let me clear this up. You can buy anything with Bitcoin, but people don't want to use their Bitcoin because it's going through the flipping roof. It's like, as much as Bukele said, well, let's do this adoption, and everybody has to, buy and sell it. But he kind of did too good of a marketing job, because he's shot Bitcoin up through the roof. So no one in their right mind is going to spend it. They're going to spend their, cheapy little fiat,
So they're keeping it. They're for
oh
sure
yeah,
keeping
they're
it.
renting. They're not buying land. Forget it. No way. Because
Wow.
just like today, we talked in the conference. If you're in Grant's thing, he's like, well, why am I going to buy another thing? Why am I going to buy another piece of real estate that's only going to go up this slow, appreciation? I'm going to take that money, put it in Bitcoin, and it's going to go up through here, and it's going to be more valuable and appreciate more than real estate.
Are you invested in Bitcoin?
And so, well, yeah, when I went down there in 2021, it was like around 26 or something. And I bought a little bit. Yeah.
Did you know about Bitcoin when you got there?
No, I didn't know anything about Bitcoin. No, I was orange pilled when I was down there, when all these Bitcoiners coming in saying, hey, can I pay in Bitcoin? I'm like, what is
the
that?
hell?
I don't care. As long as you pay, I'm good.
Tell me about that.
I'll figure it out afterwards.
How did you first hear about Bitcoin over there?
Well, it was because of Bukele. So, I mean, I'd heard of it in the States. I've heard it's like, oh, this is imaginary little thing.
You were orange pilled
on
in El
the
Salvador.
on the internet that you can buy it, but I'm like, but you can't touch it, and so I heard about it in the States, but when I went down there is when I started actually using it, and that's how I transfer money back and forth from the States to El Salvador. Been using it for 3 years. Almost all my clients, that's in our concierge package. When it comes to like finances, we go down there, and if they want, we get them a bank account. And usually after a month or two of having a bank account, they're done with the bank account, because the banks down there are they're very bureaucratic, and they're not customer friendly. Let's just say that.
So they prefer to transact in Bitcoin?
So I'll, like with the concierge, we teach them how to do Bitcoin, how to get a wallet, how to transfer. Well, I mean, just when they learn about, okay, I'm going to pay for this, like do this big transfer, they're paying me like $5,000 or something like that to like, set up their house and get it all ready and get all the appliances and the furniture in even before they arrive, right? Okay, well, when they learn, okay, that's fine, but you're going to have to pay $300 in fees to send me that $5,000 if you want to do it through
a wire.
Or you can let me send you this little series of videos that will teach you all about Bitcoin, and you can get a Bitcoin, you can buy Bitcoin, and you can send me your Bitcoin. And yeah, it will.
So you're orange
pennies.
pilling people now.
Oh yes, I definitely I orange pill almost everybody that comes down there, if they're not already on board. I mean, I don't force them to do it, but it just makes a lot of sense. And
especially if they're moving there. So how many clients or
But
people have you
now,
had?
but that's just it. Like now, as much as they're all like, "Oh, El Salvador's not adopted," no, honey, this year, 2024, it is full adoption. You can buy and pay with Bitcoin any and everywhere. Street vendors,
Really?
yeah, street vendors, McDonald's, the hardware store, the grocery store.
But at what
Fast
price?
food.
It changes so fast. It could be, 110 in the morning and be 106
Yep.
like today,
Yep. And so, well, and that's just it. I mean, that's why a lot of that's why I say you can do it,
People don't really want
but people don't do it. Like all the Bitcoiners that live down there, none of them own their house. I mean, it's like, why aren't you guys investing in the country? And it's like, hello, why am I going to spend my Bitcoin? I'm going to keep it in Bitcoin because it's going to appreciate a lot faster than if I buy a piece of property.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, Bukele kind of did too good of a job because it's much more a store of value than it is, a mode of currency.
Yeah, the whole process has been amazing. I really learned a lot of stuff from the conference.
Mm-hmm.
My first Bitcoin conference. The way we just met is just meet random people and
Yeah.
they have like incredible stories. Met a
Yeah.
guy from Egypt and his whole story how he came and apparently he was like one of the guys who started at Oculus at Meta, so he worked at Meta, but he's from Egypt.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what?
Uh-huh.
Like all these like amazing stories, and we're all just there together in one room trying to understand more.
Yeah. It is not a typical business conference. Not,
not.
by any way, shape, or the form. No, not at all. I mean, just the essence of Bitcoin is kind of a stick it to you, rage against the machine, stick it to the man kind of a thing. And so you don't necessarily have a lot of professionalism when it comes to
it's
the
not.
attendees, you could say, because they kind of pride themselves in, no, I'm doing it my way,
And the way they dress, and I go to a lot of lawyer conferences and
Uh-huh.
doctors, and this is a whole different thing. Like I was wearing like a suit jacket, and my friend was like, "No, you can't be wearing it's all different."
Yeah, it's a different world.
I'm going to be going to El Salvador in October
Awesome.
for the first time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Totally cool. Give me a ring.
Me and my wife are gonna go. We're gonna go build homes for people down there.
Oh, you're gonna do like Habitat for Humanity, or are you gonna do Sus Hijos?
It's not Habitat for Humanity.
Is it Sus Hijos?
No, we it's part of WAWAM, so we do. It's the first time that we're going to El Salvador.
Uh-huh.
We've done it in Mexico before. When we
Is it like a mission trip?
It is.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And so I'm excited, and I
Uh-huh.
also have I have two people that work in my company remotely, and they're both from El Salvador, and they've been working for years, and
cool.
I've never met them.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very excited to go over there
That's cool.
and meet them.
If any of you guys are interested in building houses in El Salvador or helping orphans, I have a nonprofit that I have a bunch of videos on my channel about, called Sus Hijos, and they do just that. So just FYI, go to my channel and put in Sus Hijos, or you can put in Thanksgiving in El Salvador, and you'll read all about them, and you can call them up and create your own mission trip to go down and build houses and bless the orphans and the people that are in, and the kids that are in the system, because down there they don't do foster care, they just have a big government orphanage. And so which is not very fun, that's for sure. But anyway, just putting that little plug in for Sus Hijos, because it's a great way to really help and make sure your tax-paying money is going towards something that truly benefits Salvadorans and is not pushing something that you may or may not agree that should be pushed in a country that's not your country. So
That's incredible. That's actually a good a good place and a good plug, because I mean, I'm going, you're gonna be there.
Yeah.
Where can people find you, Jeni,
Okay,
on
so
socials?
if you are wondering and thinking about El Salvador, or wondering what possibilities are in your future or in your company's future for El Salvador, go to livinglikealocal.com. You can go to my YouTube page, has over 300 videos of what life is like in El Salvador, what the culture is, the changes that I've been making. That is Jeni Ari, Jeni Ari, La Gringa Salvadoreña in YouTube, or Jeni Ari in TikTok if you speak Spanish. That's my TikTok channel. But liveinlikealocal.com is the website if you would like to go on a relocation tour. Maybe you're gung-ho and your wife is like, I don't think so. Okay. Bring her on a relocation tour. Get real. Stop the whole back and forth. Just kind of bite the bullet, bring her on a relocation tour, and by the end of the tour, you'll know and she'll know, and it'll be end of discussion. And it doesn't have to keep on driving a wedge in your marriage.
It'll put the end of discussion. That's awesome.
Yes.
I hope we get to meet in El Salvador. I will give you a call. I love coffee, so we'll have like a cup of coffee with my wife.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be really great. I really appreciate reaching out, and you really have an awesome story. And
Thanks.
I still think that the best is still yet to come. Like,
I do too.
I'm excited to continue watching you grow.
Yeah.
I love spontaneity, and this was one of my this is
definitely the
episode.
most spontaneous. I mean, when I was walking away from my daughter, she's just like, Mom, make good choices and be responsible. And I'm like, yeah, I'm getting into a car.
Yeah, are you just getting in that car with a stranger?
With a stranger. I'm like, well, wait, this is Vegas. This is not. I mean, my credit card was stolen just the other night in the hotel. And I'm like, Jen, you're not in El Salvador anymore. How can you be this stupid? And isn't that ironic? They say, like, not in Kansas anymore. I'm like, I'm not in El Salvador anymore. I've got to watch my back. I've got to make sure
You're saying it's safer there than here?
Oh, way safer. Way safer. People return wallets in El Salvador. El Salvador is the safest country in the Western Hemisphere.
That's amazing.
No, it is way safer in El Salvador than it is in the U.S. And as proof of my canceled credit card, then I now have to wait for 2 weeks to get in the mail to come back.
Someone should give it back. Karma will bite your ass. All right, well, this has been another episode of the CEO InMotion. Super happy to have had you. It's been awesome. Thank you guys. Peace.